conditional probability, right? So we did a few, formulas there. So yeah, yeah. So this is, we didn't explicitly say it as the base rule, but we saw this formula in the previous lecture, in the lecture two. Yeah, the previous lecture. Yeah. So how do you prove this formula? Why is this true? Yeah, nobody wants to give a try. Why is this true?
Sir, as that P probability of A given Bj will become A intersection Bj upon P of Bj, that will cancel out. So the same formula will come.
Yeah, so what you can do is you can just move this thing to here, you can multiply it there. Then both the left hand side and right hand side is probability of A intersection Bj. Yeah, that's all. Okay, so yeah. And so we also saw what is called the total probability theorem. The total probability theorem essentially says that, okay, you can substitute P of A by this. Yeah, if BIs are, so BIs are a partition. Yeah, that is, BIs are disjoint and the union of BIs is equal to S. So BIs are disjoint or mutually exclusive. Okay, so disjoint is simpler and easy to understand. And union over I, BI is equal to S. Okay, so if you have these two conditions, then you can apply what is called the total probability rule. Okay, so yeah, so this we already saw. Let's solve some problems based on this. Yeah. Okay, so this is a very common practical problem that you see. Okay, so you are communicating. Actually, this problem is getting solved every time you open your mobile, or every time we are. This video is being processed. This problem, some version of this problem is getting solved. Okay, so this is a very simple case, but yeah, it's good to start with a simple case. So you have a communication system. Okay, so I am sending you some bits across the internet. Yeah, yeah, I am sending a binary, okay, 0 or 1. So yeah, apparently the my message has p0 fraction of zeros and p1 fraction of ones. It's not exactly half half, but so for some reason, okay, one it is biased. It's p0 ones and p1 sorry, p0 zeros and p1 ones, fraction of ones. Yeah. And I'm sending this, and okay, it is going through some channel, I don't know, through the air, wireless, and everything. And there is some probability that the bit I send can get flipped when it reaches you. Okay, and the question is, yeah, what is the probability that? So what is the probability that? So suppose you observe a 1, so you receive a 1 in your side. What is the probability that I also send you a 1? Yeah, how do you solve this problem? Sorry, I think your volume is very low. Yeah, so how do you solve this problem? Like from what all we learned, right?
We can make a tree.
Yeah, we can make a tree. A tree is the easiest way of solving a conditional probability problem. Okay, so yeah, what should be in the root of the tree? So, how many children are there for the root node?
2.
2. Okay.
0 or 1.
Okay, so what does the 0 or 1 mean?
What bit was transmitted?
What bit was transmitted? Meaning,
For
there should
example,
be
if
two things. No, there is some bit I sent and some bit you received.
the bits received would be in the second layer, I think.
Yeah,
first
so
one.
it makes sense to draw this tree temporarily, you know, I mean, according to the time sequence. So first I send you something and then you received it. Okay, so we will just draw the tree according to the time order. So this is, I send, so this is, let's say, let's call this A1 and it's called A, so let's say call this A0 and A1. Okay, so AI is, I send bit I. Okay, and I can be I belongs to 0 1. Yeah, and so yeah, so yeah, so this is let's say yeah, there are multiple events here. So this is let's call this B00. Yeah. Yeah, and this is B01. This is B10. This is B11. Okay. So what is Bij? What do you think the event Bij is?
Bit received to the receiver.
Yeah. So, but B has two subscripts, no, I and J.
I is the bit which is sent and J is the bit which is received.
Yeah. I sent bit I and you received bit J. Yeah, that is Bij. Yeah. Now, what is the probability? So, do we know how to label the tree? What is the labeling I have to give?
Yes.
So, what should I put it here?
P0.
Yeah, this is P0. This is the probability that I send as 0, and this is P1. What about here?
1 minus beta.
1 minus beta.
So, yeah, I send as 0, and 0 could be received as 1. Okay, so here 0 received as 1 is beta, so 1 minus beta is correct. Yeah, that is correct answer. But I send as 0, but you received 1, that is this thing. So this is beta. Yeah, is that clear? Similarly, there is there an alpha? Okay, there is only beta, no? Okay, so this is also what? This is 1 minus beta.
Beta, sir.
So this is
Beta, sir.
Beta. This is 1 minus beta. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so there's a flip happening even in the labels. Okay, just okay. So now what do we want? What is the probability that we want to compute? What is this probability? One was observed. What is the probability that one was transmitted? Yes. Yeah.
P1 into 1 minus beta.
Yeah. So let's write the event first. Okay. So what is the probability that one was transmitted? Yeah. So that means we are interested in the probability of A1. Yeah. But not simply A1. A1 conditioned on the fact that, yeah, one was observed. You received a 1. Okay. Let's call the probability that you received a 1 as B1. Okay. So let's say BI. So if I put only one subscript means you received I. Yeah. So this is the probability we are interested in. Yeah. So yeah, how do you get this? So given yeah. So we can apply Bayes rule here.
Yes, sir.
So this will be a probability of so we know the probability of AI given yeah, we know the inverse of this is easier to compute. Yeah. So the probability of B1 given A1 into, so what is the formula? So what should I write here?
P of A1 divided by B1.
Okay, is that correct? So now can we substitute all these numbers? So given A1, so that is given A1, what is the probability of B1 occurring? That is, you receive a 1. That is, so you receive a 1 is here. This is 1 minus beta. Yeah, so this is 1 minus beta. Probability of A1 is P1. Yeah, and divided by probability of B1, that you receive a 1. So if you receive a 1 only in this case and this case. Yeah. So what is the probability of these two cases? Yeah, so it is, so you just need to multiply out here like this. P0 into beta plus P1 into 1 minus beta. Is that clear? Yeah, so we just applied the formula. Okay, once you visualize it in terms of the tree, write down the events correctly, it's like a simple problem. Okay. Any questions regarding this? Okay. So this is another common problem. Yeah, this is about radar detection, but this question could also be about testing for a disease. Okay, I mean there is this test for the disease, and there is with some probability, I mean the test fails. Okay, and this could as well be about that. But yeah, this is regarding the radars. So yeah, how do I mean solve this problem? So there is a certain probability, I mean, the aircraft is present. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And then there's a radar. Radar showing an alarm. So how should I draw the tree? So it looks like it's a 2-level tree. Yeah. So what is this event? Yeah. Nobody wants to make a try.
Sir, its aircraft is present.
So first, I mean, yeah, I mean, you can do it in either order, but let's say aircraft is
Like the
present.
first.
Sure. So A1 is aircraft is absent, let's say. So let's call this A0 and A1. So it's present and absent. A0 is aircraft is absent. Is absent. And A1 is present. Okay. And so B0 is radar doesn't say anything. B1 is radar sounds an alarm. Okay, so let's call this B00, B01. Let's call this B10, and let's again call this B11. Yeah. So the second bit tells you whether the alarm went off or not. Okay. Yeah. So again, let's write the labels in the tree. Yeah. So the probability that the aircraft is present in a certain area, a radar correctly registers its presence with probability 0.99. So where should I write 0.99?
A0 between first node to second node, A0.
A0 and
The first circle, and in between A0 it will be 0.99.
where should I write? Sorry, here.
Left hand side.
Here.
No, yes.
Here I have to write 0.99.
Like if A0 is the probability of its presence, we can write 0.99 on the left hand side, and 0.01.
So what is written in the question? Are you reading the question?
No, sir, it will be between A0 and B00, I guess.
Sir, it is, I guess. It
It is at
Okay.
B1.
Sir, it should be
Repeat the
between
label.
B1 and B11.
First
B11.
starting it will.
B11.
Here. Yeah.
Yes, sir. It should be in
A1 is the
B11.
event when the aircraft is present. Yeah. So if the aircraft is present in a certain area, so it is A1. Yeah. The radar correctly registers is present. So the radar also sounded. So that is this. Yeah. This is 0.99.
Yeah, sorry, I missed that. If the aircraft cannot be also present, so sorry.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
right.
so yeah, you need to read the question. You need to be very careful regarding questions always. Yeah. So yeah. So if this is 0.99, then you also know this, no? There is no other way, but this should be 0.01. There's no other way to it. Okay. Now, if it is not present, okay, the radar falsely registers the presence of point. Okay. So where should I write 0.10?
B01.
B01. Okay. So the aircraft is not present, and the alarm is sounded. Alarm is falsely sounded, right? So that is 0.10. Yeah. So if this is 0.10, there is no other option. This has to be 0.9. Yeah. I mean this. Yeah. Every subtree is a probability distribution. Yeah. Now what else? What are these numbers?
0.05
A1
and
is 0.05.
0.9.
Yeah, it is not present with probability. Assume that the aircraft is present with probability 0.05. So this is 0.05 and this is 0.95. Yeah. So okay. So we have the tree. Everything is nicely labeled. And now what do we need to prove? So what is the probability of a false alarm? Okay. So probability of false alarm. Yeah. So what do you mean by false alarm?
The alarm rang, but it is not true. The presence is not true. That is B01.
I think it is given in the question 0.10.
Yeah, it means a false indication of the aircraft's presence. That means the aircraft is not present, but the alarm sounded. That is what you call a false alarm, no?
Yes, sir.
So these are technical terms in the field. For example, if you do a disease testing, it's a false positive, true negatives. They you will keep hearing these terms. Okay, and yeah, this is another version of this only. So this is called false positive. If the same problem is done in terms of disease testing, this is called the false positives. Okay, so probability of false alarm. Yeah, that means the probability of, there is no aircraft. Yeah, but the alarm sounded. And what is that?
0.95 into 0.10.
Great. That's all. Now we can just look at the tree and just write down the answer. And what is the probability of missed detection? Yeah. So what do you mean by missed detection? Yeah. So
the aircraft is present, but it's not detected.
Yeah. So what should I write here? Probability of what? B?
10.
The aircraft is present, but it is not detected.
B10.
Yeah. Then 0.01. So it's, there's nothing much. Yeah, sorry. I have to then also do 0.05. Okay. Yeah. So that's what. Yeah. So that's actually interesting variant of this question. Yeah. So let's solve one more problem. What is the probability that, suppose you are looking at the radar and the radar raises the alarm. what is the probability that the aircraft was actually there? Yeah, so probability of alarm goes off. Probability of aircraft present given the alarm goes off. This is something reasonable that you have to compute. No, the alarm went off. I don't know if the aircraft is there or not. So what is the chance that the aircraft is present? So in disease terms, yeah, the test became positive. What is the probability that I have the disease? Yeah. So yeah, how do we do this? How do we compute this?
It would be B11 upon B11 plus B01.
Yeah. So let's just expand. So this is essentially probability of aircraft is present. So A1 given alarm goes off. Okay. So that is B1. B1, let's say I haven't defined what B1 is, but B1 means the alarm went off, right? So this is probability of A1 intersection B1, that is B11, divided by probability of the alarm going off. Yeah. And what is probability of B11, which you already calculated? 0.05 into 0.99 divided by probability of B1.
Sir,
So what is the
alarm detected the presence or not?
No, alarm is went off.
Alarm goes off. That means alarm went off. The alarm rang.
It's alarm rang. Okay.
Okay, that off is, I think was off meaning it means the alarm rang. Okay. Okay, so then you need to compute the denominator also. That is the probability of alarm going off. So alarm could go off in these two cases. Yeah. So you need to do point. So this number will again come here, and then again there will be 0.95 into 0.10. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, your questions will always be in English statements. Okay. So if you start thinking in terms of this English statements, you will get confused. Whenever your question is given, it will be in English statements, and if you start thinking in terms of English statements, you will get confused. Yeah.
Sir.
So you should translate the English statements to a tree like this. Write down the events and think in terms of probability. Then it becomes very simple.
Sir, in last question, why can't we directly write B1 as the answer 0.05 into 0.99?
Sorry?
In the last part, aircraft present when alarms rang. Shouldn't we directly
B1?
क्या खा लिया मैंने.
So what is the event B1? What is the definition of B1?
That alarm rang.
Alarm rang. So in which all cases the alarm rang? Alarm could have rang when the aircraft was not present. There's a chance for that. Alarm could have rang when the aircraft was present. So there are these two cases. So you need to add up these two probabilities.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so the point I was making is, yeah, many a times for probability things, if you think in terms of English, it will be very confusing. So I think there was one question in the discussion forum. Okay. So a person has two children, yeah, and in a mall you meet one of the children, and yeah, that is a girl, and yeah. So conditioned on that information, what's the probability that his other child is also a girl? Okay, so that is one probability, and so that is, let's say, call it P1. And other probabilities, the father told you that one of his child is a girl. What is the probability that both are girls? Yeah, somehow the second probability is greater than the first probability. Okay. So if you think in terms of English, it sounds very ridiculous. So how can the two probabilities be different? Yeah, but that's because you are thinking in terms of English. Yeah, so if you just write down the possibilities and actually compute the conditional probability, you will find that using obvious calculation, the second is better than first. Yeah. So I have actually written down the comment in the discussion forum, the reply that I have given. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions regarding conditional probability? Yeah, so you read the question carefully. I mean, draw the tree, mark the events, write down all the probabilities. Then you translate what you want to do in terms of these events. Yeah, and then you just apply the formulas. As simple as that. Yeah, but if you start directly thinking in terms of English, you will get confused. Okay, so yeah, this is an interesting question that I keep getting. Okay, suppose you have a dice. Okay, you are throwing this dice. Okay, some number comes up. I note down that number. Okay, so I note down the number. First throw, I wrote something. I wrote down the number. I again throw the dice. Some number came up. I wrote down the number. Again I throw. I wrote down the number. Okay, and I am just getting this long list. Okay, so what is the probability that the number 3 appears in the list? Anybody wants to try?
One minus when 3 never happens.
Okay, okay, that's a very good thing to do. Okay, 1 minus probability that 3 never occurs.
So 1 is the probability here, as it is infinite list.
What? Sorry?
Sir, here the required probability will be 1 for all the digits, not only for 3, because it's an infinite list.
Okay, so yeah, so this is 1 minus. So okay,
0.
Abhiram has written down the answer. So 3 never occurs. It doesn't occur in the first question is 5 by 6. Second toss is independent into 5 by 6. So it is 5 by 6 raised n when n tends to infinity. Yeah. If I stopped at n things, then this was the probability. But then if I mean, yeah, but you are looking at infinite number of those, so this answer would be 1. Eventually you see 3. Yeah. Okay, so that is great. So what is the sample space here? What is the sample space here? Yeah, it's infinite, but can you give me a mathematical definition of the sample space?
6 to the power n tends to infinity.
6 to the power what? I mean 6 to the
N,
power?
where n tends to infinity.
N tends to infinity. So how do you write that?
Sir, a1 to a6 to the power infinity, where a1 comma a2
What do you mean by infinity? Like we already said there are multiple types of infinity. I mean, right? There are the countable infinity and then there is uncountable infinity. And yeah, so what infinity are we talking about? Yeah. So yeah, let's simplify. So what is this? This is a sequence. And what is a sequence? Sequence of digits between 1 to 6, right? And what is a sequence? It is a function. So you can think of this AIs, which actually it's obvious from the sequence itself. A is a function from natural numbers to 1 to 6. Yeah, you agree with that? The sequence is a function from natural numbers to 1 to 6. Yeah. So your sample space is the set of all functions from natural numbers from 1 to 6. Set of all possible size is your sample space. Yeah, so it is very concise to write in mathematics. It's no complication. We don't need to talk in English. This is very. Is this clear why this is the case? Yeah. Now, is this sample space?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So can you please explain it once? Yeah.
So what is a sequence? For every natural number, you need to find a number between 1 to 6, right? That's what a sequence is.
Sir.
Yeah. So that's what I will do. For every natural number, give me a number between 1 to 6. That is what is called a function, no? With the domain natural numbers, range 1 to 6. This is what you call a function, no?
Yes, sir.
So yeah. So you give me different function, you will get a different element of the sample space. What such is possible is your sample space. Yeah. So is the sample space countable or uncountable? So yeah, I see multiple answers. So there is people with uncountable and people with countable opinions. So yeah, so yeah, if you have an opinion, you also need to tell why it is countable or why it is uncountable. Yeah, yeah. Please speak out. Yeah.
I think it is uncountable.
What is the reason for that?
It is because it is possible that the function is not onto.
Function cannot be okay. Function is not onto. So
If we consider the case where n is equals to 6 and all the natural numbers from 1 to 6, in all the cases they get mapped to 3. That is, in all the 6 cases, the dice, the outcome of the dice is 3. In that case, since the range is not covered, thus I think it will be considered uncountable.
So when do you say something is uncountable? Sorry.
And the function is not onto.
No.
It should have 1-to-1 mapping with natural numbers.
Yeah, you say a set is countable when you can have a one-to-one map. So we will say that an infinite set is countable. Yeah, whenever we can have a one-one onto function between that set and the natural numbers. That is the definition of countable.
Okay, so 1, 1 and onto both should be there.
Yeah, 1, 1 and onto. It should be a bijection. 1, 1 and onto.
So 1, 1 is not at all possible in any condition. If n is greater than 6.
So between what and what are you making the function? Sorry.
The natural, the n which is the number of.
So where is the n? I don't see an n in the problem at all actually.
So I mean a which is the natural number. Sorry.
A is a function.
Yeah.
A is a function. So
n to 1 to 6.
So you are saying that omega is countable. Is that what you are saying?
No. So I am not able to explain maybe.
Yeah. So the question was whether omega is countable. Yeah. So omega is countable, meaning you need to do a 1-1 onto map between omega and natural numbers. Yeah. If you can do this, then omega is countable. So it's obvious that omega is an infinite set. I'm not saying this, but it's obvious, right? Yeah, it's an infinite set, okay. But the question is whether it is countable infinite or uncountable infinite. Yeah, if you want to show it is countable, you need to have 1-1 onto mapping like this. Do you think? Many people are saying it is countable. So you need to tell me a 1-1 onto mapping like this.
Sir, can we say that n to n is countable and n to 1 to 6 is just a subset of n to n? So this will also be countable.
Sorry, n to what? Sorry. So you are saying the set of all functions from n to n is countable, is it?
Yes, sir.
Why is that?
Sir, I was thinking that if we put it in a graph, like in x or y graph, and then x represents the first means first element, and y represents the second element, then we can, like you said, the zigzag method. Can we follow it and say that it's countable because all the points will be considered
for one
then?
function, so you are for one a, you will come up with infinitely many points, is it? I mean, that is strange. I mean, for one a, you have to come up with 1 point, right?
Yes, sir. But this is a subset of a countable set. So can we say this is countable?
This is subset of which countable set?
N cross n.
This is so you are saying omega is a subset of n cross n. Is this a
Yes,
subset
sir.
of n cross n?
Yes, sir. Because the first, let us say that the first is the number of times that we are the count number, the turn number. How many times are we throwing the die? Means first time, then first n is 1, and the second n would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That way. Can we think of it that way, or am I wrong?
So you are saying so a is a function from natural numbers to 1 to 6, right? Is that the same as saying, okay, let's say, I don't know, a pair of numbers? How is a sequence? So a is a sequence, a long sequence like this, yeah. And on the other side, you have a tuple x comma y. How is x comma y same as a sequence?
Sir, I was saying that if A1, A2, A3 is the turn number, the first time we have rolled a die is 1. The second time we have rolled a die is 2. So the first time that we have rolled a die, it maps to say some number 1.
Yeah, so I understand what you are saying. You are saying you will convert the sequence into a set of points.
Yes, sir.
1 comma A1, 2 comma A2. This is what you mean, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. But this is a set of points. Now here you have 1 point. How can a set of points be equal to 1 point?
Okay, sir, I got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So okay, so this is not a subset of n cross n. That everybody agrees.
So for proving countable, if a set is countable, we need to show a listing that we can list it in a particular sequence. So if we do it according to length, like all sequences of, okay, but they are infinite length. Every is of, okay, I'm mistaken, sorry.
Anybody who has thinks that this is uncountable and has a reason for saying that?
Sir, I think the set is uncountable.
Okay, why do you think so?
So basically, the number of functions 6 to the power n are like, see, let's say we try to map each function to natural numbers. So the first one will be that all the natural numbers are mapped to 1.
So let's map these to natural numbers. As you said, let's map to natural numbers, and let's write the function table of it.
So basically, let's map each element of this function to natural numbers.
Oh yeah. So let's say I will just, this is natural numbers. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, and everything. And I will write down the function corresponding to that here, right?
Yeah. So
okay.
So basically, the first function of the set will be that all the natural numbers are mapped to 1. Let's say we can say that.
Okay.
So that function I will map to 1. Now, basically, how the functions will be changing. Now only one natural number will be mapped to 2, and the rest all natural numbers will be mapped to 1. I'm going like this through all the elements of the set omega.
Yeah. So yeah. So why?
I'm saying out of the sample space, one outcome is that all natural numbers are mapped to 1.
Yeah. So there is one
Omega.
function
Omega.
there where
I'm
everything is mapped to 1. All the outcomes became 1. Yeah, I agree.
So this function is mapped to 1.
Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we'll take another function then from the set that will be when n minus 1 are mapped to 1 and 1 is mapped to 2. But that n is again infinite.
Okay.
I'm not
So
able to,
yeah.
I guess I'm not able to understand what I'm trying to speak.
Yeah. So let's try to simplify. Okay. So let's only look at functions which are from natural numbers. Yeah. To let's say 1, 2. Okay. So this is a subset of omega. You agree? That's a subset of omega. Everybody agrees?
Yes, sir.
And this is the same as, okay, let's go to binary. I mean, this set is the same as that set. I'm just relabeling 1 to be 0 and 2 to be 1. Yeah. Is that fine? Yeah.
Yes.
Now, do you think this set is countable? Does anybody have a argument? This is countable or uncountable?
It is countable because for every number we can generate a decimal number correspondingly.
What is that decimal number? Sorry.
Means it is 0, 1. So for every sequence it will be a binary number and it has an equivalent decimal number in the set of natural numbers.
I didn't follow that. Sorry.
So this is again uncountable.
This is uncountable. Why is this uncountable?
This is uncountable.
So basically the number of functions it will be generating. How will the functions will be generated? First function will be that all the natural numbers are mapped to 0.
So, I mean, let me ask you a question. So, this essentially is any function here is a mapping between n to 0, 1, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So, I mean, so I can take a subset of natural numbers. So, A is a subset of natural numbers. Yeah. And I mean, so is this the same as the power set of natural numbers?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because take any subset of natural numbers, I can encode it into a. Whatever elements inside the set, I will say output 1. Whatever element outside the set, I will output 0. Yeah. Okay. So this is essentially the power set of natural numbers. Everybody agrees?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now, do you think this is countable?
No, so power sets are not countable.
Why is it not countable?
There is a
yeah, so yeah, I mean, we discussed this in the class. This is called Cantor's diagonalization. And I think all computer science students should know Cantor's diagonalization, what it is. Yeah, there you cannot have a 1-1-on-2 function between a set and its power set. For finite sets, it's obvious, but even for infinite sets. Okay, and the way it is, suppose you give me a 1-1-on-2 function. That means you have a mapping which maps natural numbers to the power set of natural numbers. Yeah. So, I mean, 1 is mapped to some subset of natural numbers. So let's write the characteristic vector of that subset. So let's say it doesn't have, so I mean, yeah, it is something like this, let's say. So this is again, the x-axis is also natural numbers, and the 0, 1 indicates whether that element in the natural numbers is in the set or not. Okay. So you have some sequence. Yeah, and for every natural number, for 100 also there is a binary sequence. Okay.
Now look at the diagonal of this table. Okay, and look at the sequence which is the flipped diagonal. Okay, so I have a sequence B which is the flipped diagonal. Yeah, so you gave me okay a 1 1 on 2 bijective function. You claim that it's a 1 1 on 2 bijective function. So I will write down this table for every natural number. I write down the binary version of that mapping. Yeah. And I will look at the mapping which is the flipped diagonal. According to you, this is 1 1 and on 2. Yeah. So B also has to occur in some row. So let's say it occur in the ith row. So ith row, this binary sequence corresponding to B occurs. Yeah. Now there is a problem. Could you tell me what the problem is?
B will never occur.
So the ith entry wouldn't match because you have flipped the diagonal bits.
Look at the ith entry of B. B was in the ith row, so there will be ith entry for B. Yeah. What can this bit be? Can it be 0? Suppose I assume that this bit is 0. What happens? But this 0 is in the diagonal entry, no? So I defined B to be the flipped diagonal. Then that entry has to be equal to 1. Yeah. If we assume BI equal to 0 implies BI equal to 1. You agree? Everybody agrees that?
So
Yeah. So what if BI can be only two things? What if BI equal to 1? But again, that's a diagonal entry. I mean, B was defined as a flipped diagonal. Implies BI equal to 0. Yeah. So the only argument can be the BI doesn't occur in this table. But then your function is not 1 1 on 2. Okay, and this is what is called Cantor's diagonalization. Okay, so it's a very
Can you please explain this again?
yes, yeah. So let's say you are saying that this there is a 1 1 on 2 mapping between power set of natural numbers and natural numbers. Let's say you claim this is true. Yeah, that means there is a 1 1 on 2 mapping. Yeah, so I write down the 1 1 on 2 mapping as a table. Yeah, on the y-axis is all the natural numbers. So I will write down the binary representation of the mapping. So that is so 1 is mapped to some set S, which is a subset of natural numbers. Yeah. So I can write the characteristic vector of that set. That is, if an element of natural number is in the set, I will put 1 there. So this particular set had 2. That is why I put a 1 here. It didn't have 1, so that's why I put a 0 here. So I can write this. That's an infinite binary sequence. Yeah. So the table is clear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, so you have written down this table, and you are claiming that every subset of natural numbers is somewhere in this table. This is your claim, right? Yeah. Now I will find you a subset which is not in this table. Yeah. How do I get that set? I will essentially look at the diagonal entries in this table. Yeah, and flip it. That's also a subset, no? So I will define the set D as D is the set of natural numbers, yeah, set of I belonging to N, such that, yeah, I comma I entry is 0. So if that particular diagonal entry is 0, then I will include that element in the set D. Yeah. Can the set D be in this table? So can anybody else explain why the set cannot be in this table?
Because it differs by at least one element of every row.
Yeah, so yeah, that is one simple explanation. But suppose you assume that D is in the table. Yeah, so D is in the table, that means there is some natural number I which maps to D. There is some ith row which where the D is there. Yeah. Now let's look at the ith column. Yeah. So is the number I, can the number I belong to D? Yeah. So can I belong to D? Suppose you assume I belong to D. Yeah. Then this number is 1. That means I cannot belong to D. I only belongs to D if that number is 0. So if you assume I belongs to D, then this number is 1 and it will not belong to D. And what if I does not belong to D? I does not belong to D, then this number is 1. Sorry, this number is 0. That means I has to belong to D. Okay. Yeah, so if this is the first time you are seeing this, you need to think carefully. Okay, you need to sit and think a bit carefully, and you will figure out that no, the way we define D cannot be in this table, because D differs from every row in the table in the diagonal position. Yeah. Okay.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Why does not this argument work that, for example, you had taken 0, 1, any sequence of dice for 0, 1. So I convert it into its binary number, and then there is a 1-to-1 mapping of any sequence of 0, 1 to a specific natural number. So there is a 1-to-1 onto mapping.
Why is there a 1-to-1 onto mapping? I didn't follow.
Because any sequence of 0, 1 corresponds to some natural number.
But this is an infinite sequence, no?
So however, I mean, there are infinite natural numbers.
There are infinite natural numbers. I don't, in the natural number, in the set n, there are no infinite elements. Every element in the natural numbers is a number. Infinity doesn't belong to natural numbers, no. Natural number, everything is a number.
But even when we are talking about the sequence,
sorry,
the sequence also, we are making it arbitrarily long. It's not infinite in the infinite sense.
It is arbitrarily long. So, yeah, I mean, you take any large natural number, you will there is at that point the dice was rolled and something came up. It's an infinite sequence.
Achha, okay. I think I got it.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you are not clear about it, please read that subsection in the textbook about countable, uncountable infinities. Yeah. These are like minute details, and sometimes these become very important. Okay.
So, sir, it is uncountable.
It is uncountable because this particular set is a subset of the set. Yeah. So this is an uncountable sample space. Okay. Now let me ask a different question. Yeah. Let's say you are asking a monkey. Okay. You are giving him a typewriter or a keyboard. Okay. He just types randomly. He doesn't know anything about it. So all the alphabets he just types randomly. Okay. So he will have some alphabet A, then A1, A2, and he is going to type on for infinite time. He is keeping on typing. Okay. What is the probability that you will see him writing Mahabharata in the between? Somewhere in his infinite sequence, he has also written Mahabharata. Let's say there is some standard edition of Mahabharata written in English. What is the probability that you see that Mahabharata also written somewhere in between his typing? Yeah.
So 1, as it is infinite.
So for simplicity, let's assume a simple case. What's the probability that he writes 5 A's in a row? Somewhere consecutively he writes 5 A's.
So 1 is the probability.
And then you will realize that there is nothing about 5 A's. You could have any substring, yeah, of any length, as long as it's a finite length. Eventually he will actually type it, since he is typing for infinity. Okay. Yeah, so yeah, somebody already found out. So this is called the infinite monkey theorem. You can see Wikipedia article on it. Okay. Yeah, so okay. yeah, just something interesting. Okay. Fine. So we saw enough things for today. Okay. So I think we have we have covered the basics of probability very well. Okay. We have spent enough time solving problems. We also got enough chance to ask questions and everything. So Monday we will have a deep quiz. Okay. So time fixing is not a good idea because I'm not sure all of you can actually do a time fixed exam. So maybe I will put out the questions in the morning, and till evening you will have time. Yeah. Is that fine? Let's say morning I put out the questions by 8 o'clock, and till night 8 p.m. you will have time to answer the questions. Is that fine with everyone?
So will it be MCQ or like light quiz?
It may not be MCQ. There might be multiple answers to your questions. Not all of you might be getting the same questions. There might be numerical answers. There might be mathematical formulas to be written. So mathematical formulas you can enter in the LaTeX format. It's very easy to see how it works. Okay. So okay. Yeah, so thank you for today. Let's I'll put out the questions on Monday. Okay, thank you.
So hello.
Yeah, please.
So infinite monkey theorem states that if there is an infinite space, there probability will always be 1. It states that.
What? Sorry.
If there are sample spaces, there's something to the infinite, then probability will always be 1. That monkey theorem states that.
Yeah, that's a very vague statement to make. So I gave you a concrete example of what it means. Yeah. So there are various versions of it. Okay. So which is deep into probability, which possibly we cannot cover in this course.
So it is like probability of a finite sequence in an infinite sequence is 1.
Yeah, please go through it. There are a lot of interesting things there. Okay, so possibly we cannot discuss that in the full detail here. But if you want to start a discussion in the discussion forum, that will be interesting, and you can start discussing. I can also share my comments. Yeah. Okay, so thank you.